Yeah, and just like that, we are live with, I guess, the first real time I've dived into politics on this channel. Kind of. I haven't really dived into it a lot. I think I talked about January, what happened there. Um, but this channel doesn't talk about politics a whole lot. By the way, guys, I'm going to drop a link in the chat. And so if you want to come on to the stream, sorry, I have to get some hair out of my mouth. Um, if you want to jump on the stream and talk politics, I would love to do that. So nothing controversial today, right? Nothing to argue about because we're just talking politics and we know that everyone agrees on politics nowadays. And so we're just getting started. People are kind of shuffling in slowly. And I just have to mention, I think it was last night or the night before, I had a dream. And in the dream, I shaved my beard. I can't even remember the reason that I shaved my beard. And I woke up and it was horrible. It was a nightmare. Because uh, it was just it was bad. I woke up and was thinking, did I really actually shave my beard or not? And apparently I still had some sense because I didn't. But again, today we're talking politics. Um, I haven't had a really good politic talk in a long time, and we all know why. Uh, People aren't talking politics as much and following politics as much. It's because Trump is not president. Back when Donald Trump was president, I would talk politics all the time and I followed politics a ton. Why? Because Donald Trump was box office. Everyone loved talking politics. Hey, what is Trump going to say today? How is the media going to lose its mind today? And so it was fun waking up each day, each week, and just wondering, hey, what's going to happen today? No one really knew how the Democrats were going to lose it today and accuse them of throwing kids in cages or whatever. And then Trump would say something crazy about the media. And it was really fun following politics. It really was. I really enjoyed it and I would follow it daily. But now we have a problem. And who's president? Well, it's Joe Biden. And you fall asleep. Do I follow politics much today? I really don't. I know that there's a thing between Russia and Ukraine right now, but do I follow it? No, I don't. If Trump were president, I probably would just to get the entertainment value, just to be honest and everything. But we also see how this is affecting the media. Back when Donald Trump was president, ratings for like CNN skyrocketed. They were the best that they've ever been. Why? Because Donald Trump would say something crazy, and then the media would talk about it all day and put him on blast. There'd be all this drama, and people just really were glued to it. Well, now there's no Donald J. Trump, and so CNN's ratings have tanked. They're in the gutter. I don't think they've been this low in a long time. Well, why they don't have Donald Trump to talk about. They have Joe Biden to talk about. And, if you're going to say stuff about Joe Biden, it has to be really positive things about how much you love Joe Biden, how he's probably the greatest president that we've ever had, even though we can't put two sentences together. So CNN's ratings have tanked. And if we're going to talk politics, I mean, in 2024, who does CNN hope will win the presidency? Well, I think that CNN secretly they're rooting for Donald Trump to win. Well, why would they root for Trump? Because they know CNN knows that if Donald Trump wins the presidency, their ratings are going back up again. People will finally watch CNN. They can get on every day and talk about how Trump is worse than the worst person who's ever lived. And life will be back to normal at CNN. People will actually watch CNN again. So, back in the dark room that no one can see, CNN, I think, secretly roots for Donald Trump to watch or to win the presidency in 2024. I really believe that. I wholeheartedly believe that. Why? because then CNN's ratings will be people actually watch it again. They'll they'll have some viewers because right now they've never been this bad before over there. But again, I'm going to post the link in here. So if anyone wants to jump on and talk politics, hey, be my guest and we'll have a fun discussion on politics. But as long as I'm ranting, that's kind of how this whole thing goes. With Marxism, with socialism, the media, what do they need? They need the person who's the devil. He's worse than the devil. And who has that been? The last 4 or 8 years or whatever, it's been Donald Trump. Donald Trump is worse than the devil, and you need your rival, your person that's worse than Satan to spark all this drama and to get everyone united against. For us, it was Trump. Well, the media doesn't have that now, so no one's watching CNN, and they don't have this unity like they did with when Donald Trump was president. So we see that going on. Good afternoon, brother. Great channel, politics. Okay, here it goes. Do you believe that this past election was, I think so. Well, I've talked about this actually a lot on the channel back in the day, back before people watched. Now there's two people watching. Back when probably one people watched the channel. Under socialism, you don't have fair elections. You have rigged elections. If you go to it's China, Russia, I think one of them will have an election, and you know who gets all the vote? It's Putin or what Xi Jinping, one of the two, because they'll have their election. Their election, is it fair? No, it's not fair. But they have their election, they get the vote, and it's not a fair election, is what I'm saying. And so socialist nations do not have fair elections. Well, I'm one of those people who would say America's falling to socialism. Just book it. We are. How far down the path are we? After 2020, I think we're further down the path, a lot further than I originally thought. And so America, as it falls to socialism, it will not have fair elections. Just book it. That will be a thing of the past. Do we have them now? I don't know. In Montana, I trust our elections, fully. We have actually Republicans basically had a clean sweep and won everything in the state of Montana, I think, as far as state offices go or something. Republicans just dominated. It's a good day to live in Montana. And do I trust our elections here? Yes, I do. Those other elections, do I trust them? I don't know, but eventually America will follow to socialism, I think. And once that happens, there won't be fair elections. Just book that. I need to find here we go. And so if you have questions in the comment section, just type question, all caps. That makes it easier for me to see. And again, I'm going to post the link in case anyone wants to jump on and chat politics. Oh, look at you talking about two things polite and gentle people don't talk about: religion and politics. I love it. Yep. When you're sitting down with family for Thanksgiving, you don't talk politics or religion. Right. And I've had those Thanksgivings where, you have family who you're not on the same page with politically and spiritually. And someone starts talking politics and, religion. Wonder who that is. But it doesn't turn out too well, or there's some back and forth, and actually it's been pretty respectable from what I've seen. Oh, let's see. I vote yes. We'll talk politics and religion today. Greetings, Montana and chat. Do a compilation of Biden blunders. There's not enough time in the day for something like that, right? That'll be a long compilation. So I kind of just had a list of things to talk about if there's not a lot of questions here today. I'm at work, or else Grandma Joe, I think I call you Grandma Joe, would come up. Well, just go on break, right? Let's see. Don't insult the devil with Donald Trump. So we have someone who, is not a Donald Trump fan, come on and let's chat about it. Am I a Donald Trump fan? I wouldn't go, and defend him all day. I wouldn't spend a ton of energy defending him. But I think he's entertaining more than anything else. And Joe Biden bores me to death. Whereas Donald Trump, at least you'd have something to talk about every single day and even laugh about every single day. You don't with Biden because he's too busy napping or something. Who knows? Let's see. We should all collect coins in our couch cushions and buy CNN. Their stock is in the basement. Yeah. I mean, they don't have Trump to talk about, so things are not good at CNN. If Trump were president, the ironic thing is, if Trump were president today, CNN stock value it'd be way up, way up, probably higher than it's ever been. But Trump isn't president today, and so CNN stock value, where it's at, it's in the gutter. My 401k is probably worth as much as CNN today. Yeah, joking a lot on that's for sure. But let's keep going. I don't believe there are any fair elections. I think people are stuck in the false left right paradigm when they are two wings of the same dragon. And that's true. I mean, we have the Democratic Party and then we have the Republican Party. And are they, two different sides to the same coin? To a degree, I don't think any Christian anywhere ever should vote for a Democrat whatsoever. I would be pretty dogmatic on that, actually. Whereas can a Christian support the Republican Party? Well, that's a big can of worms. Yes, you can. You can vote for a Republican, and yet there is a movement in the Republican Party to make it embrace the LGBT movement, embrace more moderate things, more liberal things, and to be kind of the big tent party. There's people like Charlie Kirk and your rhino Republicans who would argue we need to be the big tent, and so we're going to embrace sexual immorality. We're going to embrace, more this illegal immigration stuff. We're not going to be as bad as the Democrats. We're going to be Democrat light. We're hearing that from Charlie Kirk and others, where we'll be Democrat light, basically. The Democrats, hey, they're this bad and they support this bad stuff. And we're just going to be a little bit, not quite as bad as them. Well, then as Christians, you have a big decision to make. Say that the Republican Party in their platform says, you know what, we're going to try to win more people. So we're going to be pro-life, but we're going to have more exceptions. And so we're not as bad as the Democrats, though. But, in case of rape, incest, whatever, then you can have abortion. We'll put that in the platform. And beyond that, we're going to start supporting gay marriage. We're going to start supporting all these. Well, they already support social programs and stuff. But then Christians will have a tough decision to make. Can we support the Republican Party if they support gay marriage, and if they say that they come out and in their platform support abortion in certain circumstances, maybe up to 3 months or something, and that they put that in the platform? Well, then could you vote in the comments below? Would you support the Republican Party if, hey, they support gay marriage, they support abortion up to 3 months, but they're not as bad as the Democrat Party? They're not LGBTQIRSTUV, all that stuff. They're just not quite as bad. Would you vote Republican? Let me know in the comments there. I think every Christian would say, or should say, well, you can't support them enthusiastically. You can't be like, yes, I love the Republican Party. They're the best thing since sliced bread, and we're going to just enthusiastically support them. That would not be me if they caved on those things. And there's pressure for them to cave on those things. Why? To get more votes, for the pragmatism kind of thing. Let's see. We have that going on since JFK versus Nixon. Hey, and there's people who have followed that kind of thing. And there's the media. There's a lot of corruption going on. Would it surprise me if that's true going back 30 years or something? It would not shock me. It would not surprise me. There's so much corruption going on that, hey, is it surrounding elections and stuff? it would shock and surprise me if it was not going on. Um, Montana Viking, love the Take My Life video. Yeah, thank you. I just released a video actually by accident. I meant to release it tomorrow since I'm doing this today, but it came out, just about 10 minutes ago or so, or 30 minutes ago, actually. Let's see. Again, if there's anyone that wants to jump on, be my guest, I'll post the link again real quick in the comments. There's just a list of things that I had to kind of talk about. And then if you have any things that you want to bring up, any questions, I am all ears today. Here we go. Question: will you do a piece on politics, such as Canada, culture, Israel, conflict, and if how it might relate to end times or Ezekiel? Um, will I do a piece on that? I tend to make videos on things that I'm passionate about, things that grab my attention. Right now, the trucker thing that's going on, that's grabbed my attention actually. And beyond that, even Canadian politics, I find Canadian politics really interesting actually, in that what they do in Parliament is really fun to watch. Go watch it sometime. Uh, back they were having this back and forth with Trudeau, and what happens is you'll get a conservative person who will stand up and they have to talk to the speaker, so that they're not insulting Trudeau or the Liberal Party. But they'll get up and they have like 1 minute or 2 minutes to talk, and it's basically a back and forth kind of debate where basically you hurl insults, you take jabs at each other. um but it's a lot more fun to watch than American politics, it really is. And so you'll have this gal, what's her name, she's kind of the conservative leader, and she'll take 2 minutes saying, Trudeau, you're not handling this well, you've been sitting on your hands. And uh then if they want to take a big jab at Trudeau, they'll mention blackface, and then Trudeau will stand up and he'll try to defend himself for 2 minutes. Normally, what happens is you ignore everything that the other person said. You can't validate any of that stuff, and you'll just go to your talking points and say, the truckers, they are blocking the roads, they are breaking the law, they're horrible people, and blah blah blah, and they're causing all of this trade problems, and now prices will rise, or whatever he wants to say um, to that. But go watch Canadian politics. It's kind of fun to watch, especially in short video clips that are like 2-3 minutes long. Um, the Israel conflict, I was actually going to mention that. That was in the notes. From time to time, I listen to the Timcast. Tim Pool is a reporter that I enjoy listening to. Why he's not mainstream. He's not your mega corporation media. And if you're my age or younger, stop watching Fox. Stop watching CNN. Stop watching MSNBC for your news. If you're watching them, I don't know, just for entertainment, or I don't know, but don't get your information from them. And from statistics and from what I've heard, people my age and younger don't watch mainstream media. And should you? No, because it's propaganda. It is the only purpose why they exist. It's the state media. It's to brainwash people and indoctrinate people. And so if you have real sense, don't watch CNN, don't watch Fox. The ironic thing is that a lot of your older folks watch CNN and Fox. Well, we'll stop doing it. Go find someone today and try to get them to stop watching Fox or CNN. Go do it and replace it with someone else. Ben Shapiro's really popular, and I like to know what's going on with what the mainstream media is talking about, and so I'll listen to Ben Shapiro from time to time. But even that, I could probably do better. Ben Shapiro and Tim Pool is who I generally listen to, but Tim Pool was talking about Israel handing Iran and their nuclear facility. And so over the course of, it was like 5 or 10 years, Israel is I think it's 5 years, sending this like virus code and infecting computers and stuff in computers in Iran over the course of 5 years. Does it affect those computers though? No. Why? Because the code is built for these nuclear facilities. And so what happens is after 5 years, one of the computers in the nuclear facility gets a hold of the code And I need to drink some coffee here. Um, the code is built so that in the nuclear facility, the centrifuges, they need to get the liquid in there at the proper temperature. Can't be too cold, can't be too hot. Well, the virus, the code there makes it so that I think that the computers there think that the liquid is too cold. So what do? They just keep spinning and spinning until basically it blows up, or it does whatever, and that facility is goodbye. Just say goodbye. In the nuclear centrifuges, I mean, all the progress there is lost. Well, that was done through a virus, a plan that took the span of 5 years. Really interesting what's going on there, and you know, apply that to the United States, to other nations. You could have similar things that go on in the future, and maybe there's computers. Not maybe. I would think definitely there's computers that have code on it and stuff built for maybe nuclear facilities or things like that. Gets pretty interesting actually when you think about it, because I mean, warfare. We're gonna have cyber warfare. That's the future through the internet and through uh, it might sound laughable, but like robot armies with super intelligence, we have a new generation, just like, your phone has 4G, 3G, then 4G, then 5G. Well, super intelligence is reaching that next generation, and pretty soon we'll have drones and, well, I mean, we already have drones, but we'll have drones and robot soldiers who have that next generation of super intelligence. And why couldn't you have a robot army in how many years? 5 years or something? An army of 100 robots or something. Um, so nations are, I think, um, investing into that kind of stuff. And if you have drones, go do your fighting for you. How many casualties do you have? Zero, I would think. But then we could get into Russian, what Russia's doing. That I find that pretty interesting too. Question: do you think Donald Trump will run again? In the comments below, let me know. Is Trump going to run in 2024? Man, I don't know. But you know who is rooting for Donald Trump to run again more than anyone else? It would be CNN. Why? Because their ratings are in the gutter, and if anyone wants Trump to run again, it's CNN. Because that company is in shambles. In order to work at CNN, you need a scandal or two or three in order to work there. Will he run again? I wouldn't be shocked. Nothing surprises me now. Originally, I was hoping that we would have Trump versus Oprah. What 4 years ago, 6 years ago? That's what I was rooting for. That's what this nation needed. But Oprah let us all down, let me down, and did not run against Donald Trump there. That would have been, I'm to the point where I root for politics based on the entertainment factor. That's how much I trust the political establishment that we have today. Will he run again? I think it's a coin flip, to be honest. A lot of people surrounding him, I think they're convinced that he will run again. But the front runners would be, if you're making a bet, you bet Donald Trump. Then number two would be Ron DeSantis, because Ron DeSantis is really, really popular. But anything can happen in a primary, unless Trump decides to run. Then he's just won. Do I think Trump will run again? I do. Let me just say it. You heard it here first. Donald J. Trump will run again in 2024. I'm sure you heard it somewhere else first, but just book it. He's going to run again. You think you got rid of him? No. He's going to run again. And beyond that, he's going to outlive all of us. He's going to outlive me too. That's what I think when it comes to Trump, and I'm sticking to it. I'm a bleeding heart conservative and support Trump and his policies. He may not be an ideal Christian, but there is no doubt he's a better man for the job and our country. So Ephesians 5:11, in the comments below, let me know when Trump initially first ran. No track record per se. It's 2016. He's running for the first time. How much trust did you have in Donald Trump? Because I'll be the first one to say I did not trust Trump at all in 2016. I thought, man, this guy, he'll get elected maybe. rooting for him over the Democrat, obviously, because it was either him or Clinton, Hillary Clinton. Well, yeah, I hope Trump wins. Do I trust him? No, he's going to turn the Republican Party just super liberal, and redirect the party. I was pleasantly surprised by Donald Trump. Um, he was definitely more conservative than I thought that he would be. Was he a good president? I mean, that's someone asked that question, you know. Um, Question: who would you choose as the conservative candidate if you were the kingmaker? Who would I? You know who I like a lot, and you know, it goes against what I believe, but I really like what's her name? I should know the name of the person I want to be president, right? Um, the governor in South Dakota, what Christy no Governor Noam. I like her a lot. She sent her son to Evangel University, a rock solid Christian university, Evangelical Christian University. And if there is a good governor in the United States, and she fought the COVID stuff harder than any governor, I think. Maybe Rhonda DeSantis, but actually, I think Christie did a even better job fighting it. So I would, you know, should we have a gal as a president? That's another conversation, but I like her a lot. Beyond that, there's the governor of Montana, Gianforte. He's okay. Ted Cruz. I don't know what to think of Ted Cruz, to be honest. In the comments below, what do you think of Ted Cruz? It's hard for me to think of um, just a really rock solid person nowadays. Mike Huckabee, back in the day, I thought would be rock solid. Well, I I wouldn't want to see him in there now. Mike Pence, maybe Mike Pence. Hmm. That's a tough question, actually. I'd have to think about that a little bit more. I should know that off the top of my head, though. But let me go with that. Christy Noam. I would pick her right now, and she can just put all the men to shame. Because I think in the last 4 years, I think she's been the best governor in the United States. Minus there was the bathroom policy thing, her thing with the trans stuff. I didn't really follow that though. Um, but I might pick her. I might pick her, and she can just put all the men to shame, I think. But I really like her a lot. And I can't think of anyone just based off policy, just talking policy and stuff and who performance. Has Ron DeSantis done better than her? Well, he's governor in Florida, and then you get into the Florida corruption that exists probably more than your corruption in South Dakota. Um, I would trust Christy more than I trust Ron DeSantis. Let me say that. Um, I like her a lot. I pick her. I'll just stick to that. Even though would I support, a gal as a president? No. I think that scripture would indicate that the leader of a nation should be a guy, and we shouldn't send 40,000 women to storm the beaches of Normandy, and to fight our wars for us. Men should do that. But that's just my opinion, and that's a whole different rabbit trail. Got to go. Let's see, in Canada, they are basically the same. Can't trust liberals or conservatives. And I understand, Justin. Let me know in the comments that your conservatives are pretty moderate, are pretty liberal. Are conservatives they're pro-life? Do they stand for marriage? Are they rock solid on that? The Republican Party platform is pretty rock solid, actually, if you look at it, on being pro-life and being uh, in their stance on marriage currently. Now, it could change. It could change the next time they look at it. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if it did change, to be honest. That'll be a good fight. And um, if they change their stance, let's say they just change their stance on sexual morality and they start supporting gay marriage, well, then Christians will have some thinking to do. They really will. Democrats today are not the same as they were in the 90s and before. Progressives and liberals are a long way from democratic. It's socialism wearing cheap lipstick. Yeah, I mean, if every time you say the Democrat Party today, you're lying because it is the socialist or the Marxist Party. It really is. Before 2020, probably the Socialist Party, and since 2020, I would call it more the Marxist Party. Why? It breaks down people into you're either an oppressor or the oppressed, and the oppressed they need to have the struggle and overcome their oppression. So men oppress women, white people oppress people of color. I've said a million different times on this channel. I just made a video on it. But everyone's either the oppressed or the oppressor. Well, that's what Marxists do. That's what the Democrat Party does. They are one and the same today. Question: what do you think of Ron DeSantis running for president, vice president? Do you think Trump is electable, or would someone have a better chance? Thoughts? Um, a lot can change in how many years of Biden do we have? Do we have 3 years? Well, it's kind of an election cycle in 2 years. But Biden has 3 more years if he makes it through it. And for a year ago, I think I was one of the guys saying there's no way that Biden makes it 4 years. Well, it looks like Biden's going to make it 3 more years. Will Biden run again? Because originally he would say that he's just one and done. Will we have a standoff between Biden and Trump all over again? Um, I don't know. And with inflation the way that it is, and the economy the way that it is, I really think, and Joe Biden's approval ratings the way that it is, I think that it would be insanely difficult for him to win the election, without cheating. But maybe they've got that covered. I don't know. Um, you would think that there'd be a Democrat somewhere who would be a better option. Well, the vice president, Kamala Harris, her approval ratings are just as bad, maybe worse. I don't know than Joe Biden. Someone point to a popular Democrat today. I can't think of just a Democrat in the nation who's really, really popular. Um, I can't think of any. There's probably one somewhere. Um, but one with name ID and everything. Democrats have a problem. They really do with this next election. With midterms, just book it. Republicans are going to blow Democrats out of the water in midterm elections. Um, and so then there'll be the question, well, if Republicans take the Senate, they probably will. Should they impeach Joe Biden? Let me know in the comments. Should Republicans, if they take the House and the Senate, and they probably will, I think they will, should they go and impeach Joe Biden? Um, that'd be interesting. I mean, would it do a lot of good? Honestly, it would not do a lot of good. Yet I'd be one of those guys saying, hey, if you support abortion, if you're pro-choice, you should be impeached. That's my view. Every single pro-choice candidate in politics should be impeached, and they have no they don't belong in leadership. Zero of them belong in leadership. So if someone's pro-choice, and even if they're pro-choice in rape and incest, in those cases, they should be impeached. They should never be in politics again until they repent of that. With every single one of them, doesn't matter whether you're president, governor, vice president, whatever. All of them should be removed. Okay. Just my opinion on politics for you. Let me drop a link back again. Maybe you disagree with me and you say, no, Mark, pro-choice candidates, they do belong in politics. They should be everywhere. Then come up and let's talk about it. But with that, I'm one of those guys where after I get done talking, you're probably not scratching your head thinking, what did Mark just say? I really just didn't understand what he had to say there. It sounds like maybe he doesn't like, pro-choice stuff. Just maybe. Sometimes it's best of two options depending on just how bad prayer and led by faith in the Holy Spirit. Let's go back to your question because I don't think I answered everything because I got sidetracked by every pro-life politician should be impeached. 100% of them, and they have blood on their hands too. Innocent blood on their hands. What do you think of Ron DeSantis running for president? See, I just whoever the guy is who's the front runner for president, the two guys, I just don't trust naturally. I don't, because I don't trust the media. I think there's so much corruption in the United States. I don't know that this nation is capable of having a good president ever again. I would highly doubt that. In 2020, in 2024, what uh, Trump and Hillary Clinton, those were the two best leaders that we could find for this nation. The two best ones, really, Trump and Hillary Clinton, huh? Could someone explain that to me? Trump and Joe Biden, those were the two best leaders for our nation that we could find, really. Um, when God wants to judge a nation, he gives them wicked leaders. That's why we have Joe Biden as a president. That's why we had Barack Obama as a president. That is why we had Donald Trump for a season as a president of this country. Now, let me say too, though, that hey, Trump was bad. Hillary Clinton would have been an even larger judgment on this nation, in my opinion. Even though we could start talking about some of the stuff that Trump did that really hurt this nation, really hurt this nation. Don't get me started on that. Do you think Trump is electable, or would someone have a better chance? It all depends on the economy. If there's inflation and, you know, hey, your truck breaks down, it takes you 2 months to get the part. Well, who are people going to blame for that? Joe Biden. Um, when there's inflation, you go to buy your hamburger, and instead of it costing $3, it costs $6, $8 a pound. Who are people going to blame? Joe Biden. And so if the economy's in the gutter, then Joe Biden will be to blame. Who do I think will win in 2024? I think that we have another Republican president, either 4 years or 8 years of a Republican president in store. And then I think maybe they'll betray us with a kiss or something. And that'll be the last Republican president we ever have. And America will fall to socialism, because and under socialism, one party rule, and you don't have fair elections. That's a thing of the past. In America, book it, is falling to socialism. And so the question is, how many Republican presidents uh, will we have in the future? I think it's probably one, and it could it be zero? It could be zero, honestly. I doubt it's zero, because they can get a lot accomplished during a Republican president. They really can. The powers that be, whatever you want to call it, they can accomplish a lot of their agenda when a Republican is in office. We have, oh, let's see. We have someone who wants to join. I think we just have audio though. Let's see. Let me take a look at it. They will need to connect their mic. I could let you join, but I don't see a mic there. So um, someone may be able to join if they get their audio set up, I guess. Let's keep going. I'm sure that I'm way behind on the comments, I would think now. I'm with you. I'm a huge supporter of the Freedom Convoy. As a matter of fact, it's officially kicking off today in the USA. That'll be interesting, and that'll be the new talk going on, pretty soon, is the Freedom Convoy. My understanding, if you're not following, politics there, the thing that's going on in Ottawa, Canada, it's headed to Washington, D.C. And you could have, how many truckers would show up to that? 5,000, 50,000 truckers, who knows, show up to Washington, D.C. and basically shut the city down or do something. And then that's going to put a lot of pressure on Joe Biden. How is he going to handle that? Is he going to do what Justin Trudeau did? And are those truckers, are they, terrorists? Are they whatever, with how Canada is treating them? For me, a concerning thing, let's talk socialism. A concerning thing is that when nations fall to socialism, communism, whatever, what happens there is that um, they cut off the finances, the ability of their opposition to do business, to exchange money. We're seeing that to some degree in Canada right now. And when President Trump got canceled over the January 6th stuff, what did they do? They canceled his ability to email, and banned him from Facebook and Twitter and whatever, from social media, basically. Um, which ironically, though, causes a CNN ratings collapse, which I love. I think it's a just kind of you reap what you sow kind of thing. But Um, what was I even saying? I lost my train of thought there, to be honest. But they'll do the same thing to us, to to their targeted people that they want to they feel like they can target. Why? Because the media, the media will put them on blast, and they're terrorists. They're doing whatever, and they'll be canceled financially, so that maybe the bank will freeze their account. Maybe they can't use PayPal. They can't use transactions through Mastercard and Visa. That's a very real thing that could happen. And just like when it happened to Donald Trump, it happened instantly. It happened just like that. And so catches you off guard. January 5th and stuff, no one thought, you know what, maybe Facebook, Twitter, and the email place, maybe they'll ban Trump forever. No one thought of that. Um, but with this new thing, it'll happen. It'll happen out of nowhere, and it'll just continue to grow. Where under socialism again, you cancel people financially, and they're not allowed to exchange money through Bank of America, through whatever. Just book it. That's a mark of socialism for you. And Canada's going through it to some extent. You can hear stories of a gal who donated $50 to the Freedom Convoy or something. And so they froze her account and different things like that. The story is even worse than that, but I can't even remember it because there's so many stories out there. March 6th was the day I heard they are planning to park in DC. Yeah, so that's coming up. It's going to get interesting. And from what I hear, who knows, it could raise the prices of things. And so now the Democrats they'll go on to blame the truckers. Hey, the truckers, they're it's their fault the economy's in the tank. Well, no, it's Joe Biden's and Donald Trump's and Barack Obama's and Bill Clinton's. It's the president's fault and the American people's fault, actually, when you get down to it. But they'll blame the truckers for it, I think. Um, Anomaly is independent too. I like his values and analysis. I've listened to Anomaly a bit in the past. He was what's with all these rappers and stuff? He's a musician, right? I think maybe even a rapper or something. And then started talking um politics a lot. I feel like he's just stopped showing up in my feed because I used to follow him a lot more. Um Certain Fox shows are okay. Tucker tells it straight. Um, I really do not trust mainstream media at all whatsoever. There's moments where Tucker um is pretty good. There's moments where Glenn Beck has been like pretty rock solid. My grandma used to love watching Glenn Beck way back in the day, and Glenn Beck has such a love for the Constitution and for this nation and all that. But you know, as long as we're talking Glenn Beck, he used to do rallies or events where he's trying to unite evangelicals and Mormons. And you know what I think of that. And so you know what I think of Glenn Beck to a large degree. I thought, and this would have been 10 years ago, I thought he was really dangerous for Christianity and trying to get this unity between evangelical Christians and Mormons. Oh, let's see. Steven Crowder is good and hilarious. I haven't been able to follow Steven Crowder. One of my pet peeves when I listen to shows is profanity, and Steve Crowder he'll use it and just inappropriate humor where maybe it's lewd or whatever. That'll make me push the off button faster than anything. And so I don't follow Steven Crowder. I do to a degree when he's in, the spotlight is shined upon him. And YouTube or Facebook is banning him or demonetizing him for the second or third or fifth time or whatever. Then I followed a little bit. Um of Ephesians 5:11, how do you reconcile wanting to be involved in politics and using your voice to speak out on issues with our country with people who claim we aren't to be involved in the world at all? That gets tricky. I go to two churches, or I've been to two separate churches, let me say that, who have radically different takes on politics in the church. One would invite political candidates to the church to speak on politics, and they're, their church that's not 501(c)(3) because that's really bad, I guess. Um, and so they'll invite politicians to the church, and at the church service, hey, there's a politician, a Republican. He's coming to town. Everyone go to the rally and try to get as many people to the rally as they possibly can. And they'll sing the Star Spangled Banner in church and stuff like that. Well, um, I don't like politics in the worship service, so I I would not support a church singing the Star Spangled Banner in a church service. No, like we've come to worship God. Let's sing praise and worship songs and not this Star Spangled Banner. Um, so I guess you're more patriotic. Do I have a problem with that? I don't know. I've been in a ton of them in Montana and Wisconsin, and North Dakota. Um, but I think our focus is on Jesus Christ and worshiping Him. But should a pastor preach on politics in the pulpit? I love what Steve Lawson does. He will he'll go there from time to time, but he's not just diving into politics for the sake of diving into politics. If you listen to Steve Lawson, he's preaching through the book of Genesis at the church, I think in Houston, Texas. Um, Even while he's preaching through Genesis, though, he'll get into politics. There's the story of Cain and God confronting Cain essentially. He gives Cain, hey, time to confess what he's done. He doesn't. God pronounces judgment on him, and Cain says, "God, your punishment, it's too harsh. You're being unfair, God." That's his sentiment there. Whereas in reality, uh, no, God is being too lenient. Cain deserves the death penalty for what he's done to his brother Abel. And so God is being gracious to him, even though Cain thinks, no, God, you're being too harsh. Well, Steve Lawson goes into a proverb. And what I admire about Steve Lawson is he'll do this a lot. When he's preaching through Genesis, he'll tie in either a proverb or a psalm into his preaching in Genesis. He does that, I think, every single time. Um, but he brought in Proverbs, I think it's 28:5. Evil men do not understand justice. This applies to Cain here. Cain does not understand justice here and what he actually deserves there. But then he'll apply that to you, to me, to the nation actually. Evil men do not understand justice. Well, that's judges who want to open the prisons and let all of the evildoers go, and they call that justice. That would be people who say reproductive justice, where hey, you can you're pro-choice, if you catch the drift. Reproductive justice, where you're murdering people, that's actual justice. Well, no, evil men do not understand justice, and so he'll dive into politics in a way, but he does it through exegeting scripture and applying scripture to what we're going through and what we see in the text. And so he does it in a very appropriate way. It's not a campaign rally. Um, but he's actually tackling the issues. And he preached on Sodom and Gomorrah. And go listen. It's a two-part sermon. Go listen to that because he tackles stuff very hard there and says words that you know anyone and everyone would blush when they say those words. And so he's not running from things, he's tackling it head on. And historically in the United States, I mean, pastors and churches used to get a lot more into politics. Well, the 501(c)(3) thing and tax status and money has really impacted that, so that pastors talk into politics a lot less. Is that good? Is that bad? Um, you know, uh, Stick to the text and apply it to what we see going on in our nation and in culture. I hope that answers it. That's my thoughts on it. But I don't like it when churches bring in a politician and we're going to have a campaign rally. Um, what about petitions? I've seen the pro-life petitions and stuff at church. Um, Keep the main thing the main thing. And yeah, I mean, that's that. Yeah, I'd support that for sure, actually. Let's see. Hey brother, do you think Trump is false light agenda? Because I do. I don't. Um, Maybe you could clarify that question. You, it seems like you'd be asking, hey, do you think that Trump is, people think he's good, but he's not good in reality? Um, that'd be interesting. Whoever the Republican nominee is, I tend not to trust. I really don't. I think the next Republican nominee, whoever it is, I think will be a Judas Iscariot. I think will betray Republicans and um, you know, betray us with a kiss. And I thought that'd be Donald Trump. Did Donald Trump do that? Not to the extent that I thought he would, Um, his free money bill where he passed it. It's got his name on it. It happened under his presidency where you sit on your butt. Well, there's this dangerous thing going around. And so you can't work. It's too dangerous. And if you have any symptoms where basically you're a person, you have a toothache, well, maybe that's the thing. And so you get this free money for months and months and months and months and months. What, a year? How long was the free money thing? That was the free money thing, aside from abortion and all that. The free money bill from Trump was one of the most wicked bills that this nation has ever had. Um, you've had a headache. Well, man, it's dangerous. You need to get all this free money. You're not going to work. Well, here's $600 a month. No, not a month, a week, which is just insane. And it happened under Trump's presidency. Um, you don't have to work. You get all this free money because there's this deadly thing going around. That happened under Trump. Very wicked bill, and I think Christians should come out and say how wicked that was, because essentially it was basic. What do you call that? UBI, Universal Basic Income. We saw kind of um, the introduction of that with Donald Trump, and um, a lot of people defending UBI and jumping on that bandwagon. I think like Ruslan, I think he was on that bandwagon for a while, but then came out and said, nope, UBI won't work. Why? Because people won't work. Well, if you give people free money not to work, well, shocking. They'll choose not to work and they'll do other things. And I could go into a giant rabbit trail on that because when that whole thing happened, I that's part of how this channel started was the free money thing actually, which is pretty funny. And I work the census, and for my main job, I work 36 hours a week. Well, and then I was working the census. A lot of times I work two jobs. And so I've worked a ton of hours before. Um, but well, the census lays you off. So now I qualify for all this free money where, I work my 36 hours, but then, hey, there's this deadly thing going on. So go get your free money. That was going on too. But basically what I'm saying is Donald Trump passed one of the worst bills, the worst spending bills in this nation's history. Not one of the worst. It was the worst. Let's just be clear on that. Maybe Biden's that came after Trump's was worse. I don't know, but uh, man, we had nothing worse than that before Trump. Governor DeSantis should be vice president. I like him and what he's doing over there. Clinton is still alive. I don't know what's going on with the Clintons. I really don't follow them. Politics are completely handed over to Satan. Trump is not the savior, only Jesus. And so there are some people who put entirely too much trust in politics. And then there's other people who should be involved in politics and they're apathetic towards it. They abandon their responsibility to speaking into politics. And I disagree with both. And I think every Christian should and ought to. Hey, am I putting too much trust in the Republican Party or in Donald Trump or in what, a Democrat? Well, Christians don't put their trust in Democrats. But um, I guess that's a rabbit trail. But I mean, on the other hand, people can say, "I want nothing to do with politics," and not vote. Hey, go out and vote. You have a responsibility before God to have some influence in your local town. The biggest reason why I vote is not the national elections. No, it's more the state and the city matters. That's why I vote. I vote in our elections. And I've talked to the governor of Montana. How many times have I talked to him? I've talked to the governor of Montana about critical race theory. We had a good conversation about it, and I got his view on it, which I don't fully agree with, but I'm glad that he talked to Austin Knudsen, he is the attorney general for Montana, and he released a statement or an opinion that CRT is discriminatory. And so in the state of Montana, schools that want to teach CRT, well, hey, there's an opinion out there, it's discriminatory, and so you could be opening yourself up to lawsuits and everything. But has Montana taken as radical of a stand against CRT as I would like them to take? No, I don't think that they have. But again, hey, if you want to jump on, someone's on. Okay, Justin is on, and so I wonder how long you've been waiting. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Perfect. How long were you waiting there by chance? I just noticed you.
About 5 minutes, not that long.
Oh, 5 minutes. Okay, that's still quite a long time though. But yeah, what did you want to chat with about, Justin?
No, I just wanted you and all your listeners to pray for Canada because it's crazy here. What's going on? Our prime minister, it's like he's lost his mind.
So for people that don't know what's going on in Canada, and that's a lot of Americans for you. I get the sense that Canadians generally know what's going on in the United States, but a lot of Americans do not know what's going on in Canada. What's going on in Canada right now?
So most people, they must know about the truckers protesting, which that's been stopped. But now the truckers, their accounts have been frozen by the banks.
Mm-hmm. And so they can't pay their bills, and there could be some really big repercussions there. What happens if they can't pay their mortgage or something? What would the government seize that property? I mean, maybe explain why that's such a big deal then, I guess.
Yeah, they could lose their homes. They won't be able to pay, their rent, buy groceries. Yeah, it's pretty serious.
That is really serious. I mean, if you want to make people mad, then take away their livelihood, and that's what seems like is going on in Canada. That could happen in the United States very soon. It's not unlikely at all. But that's mind-boggling. Can they freeze the account for a month, a year? How indefinitely? How long can they freeze those funds? And that seems like a totalitarian government for you, I would think, right?
Oh yeah. They say they're going to do it for 30 days. And I think they'll end in 30 days. But who says the banks won't keep it on for longer? Because the banks will have the right to not let these people have access to their funds. So yeah, it's even if the government does end it, the people may not be out of trouble.
And so that is a concern, because I mentioned it before with socialism. When a nation falls to socialism, one of the first things that they do is they freeze the funds of opposition. And so it's concerning to see part of that here. Free nations don't behave that way. Oh man. Any other thoughts? There's also in Canada the bill that criminalized conversion therapy. Do you have any thoughts on that too, by chance?
Yeah, that just came out pretty recently. So I don't know if it'll come to a point where pastors, someone comes in and they're struggling with this. The pastor comes in and tries to, help them, and they could probably be arrested based on the law because it's pretty vague.
Mm-hmm. I
Yeah.
mean, in a sense, though, if you preach the gospel and if you apply it to sexual morality, you've broken that law, I would think. If you preach repentance and faith, in a sense, you've broken that law. And so I expect that that law won't be enforced right away, but give it some time, give it a year or
Oh
2 years or so, and eventually it will be enforced, I would think.
yeah, I think so too.
Because you couldn't think, if I had to guess, no one has been arrested or that law hasn't been applied to any pastors or Christians yet, I would think. Do you know of anyone that has suffered under that law? Or
No, I'm not aware of anybody.
and for America, that'd be the Equality Act. And as soon as Democrats own the presidency and Congress, that'll get passed in a heartbeat. But um, by God's grace, it hasn't been passed over here. So
Yeah, hoping it doesn't because it's yeah.
yeah, times are changing though. It's concerning and it's happening pretty fast. I mean, you think of just how this nation's changed in the last 5 years. It's changed a ton. In Canada, I'm sure. I mean, things are changing really fast.
Yeah, it's the next form of censorship because the Facebook, YouTube, they're censoring it now, and now
Mhm.
now it's the banks. This is just the next level of censorship. It's pretty scary.
It's getting normalized, and we haven't seen this in the United States. Could we though? Uh, in the comments below, let me know. When the trucker, what would you call it? The trucker convoy, it's going to reach Washington D.C. And do you think that the United States will follow suit with Canada and freeze their bank account, maybe put them on the do not fly list, those kind of things? Do you think that we'll see the stuff happening in Canada happen over here too?
I think they're
Um,
gonna try, but I don't know if they'll be able to enforce it.
well, there was a pullout. Who was talking about it? Tim Pool saying that 65% of Democrats they support what Justin Trudeau, what's going on in Canada.
Oh wow.
Um, but when you get to Republicans, we radically 9 and 10, no, we don't support that. And then independents, I think it's like 7 out of 10 don't support it. So that'd be, I don't think that'd be so unpopular here. Um, it'd be tough for them to do, especially during midterms. They would lose so many midterm seats unless they have, election fraud like completely figured out, which I don't think they do.
Right.
And I don't think they could pull off. But yeah, any other thoughts or anything on politics or Trudeau? How popular is Justin Trudeau in Canada anyways? Is he
He is not, but the problem with the media is our media is owned by the liberals, so
Mhm.
that's why you hardly hear any bad things from media sources about. But of course, if you listen to people like Tim Pool or people around the world, oh yeah, they're
Mhm.
I think just ordinary people. Most of them they don't like, but there is a minority. The ones that listen to the CNNs in Canada. We have like four
Mhm.
big news channels. They're all basically like CNN. So we have like four CNNs, and the other people they listen to that. So those people they're on board.
Mhm.
But I
And
would
I
think,
I just encourage people to cut out the state media. Don't listen to Fox,
yeah,
CNN, your mainstream media. Go listen to Tim Pool. I like Tim Pool a lot,
yeah,
actually. I listen to him quite a bit. I used to work out and listen to him. Um, but then again, younger people generally aren't listening to. They're either not watching the news, or they're just not listening to mainstream news because they don't trust it, which is a good thing. I don't know if it's the same way in Canada, but I think it's that way here.
it's similar. But then you have like Facebook because I know lots of people get their news from Facebook, and they're not
Mhm.
gonna be that neutral.
Well, and do you have any kind of final thoughts? What are your thoughts on? We have to bring up Donald Trump and talk about him. Do you have any thoughts on Donald Trump by chance, or
I'm kind of conflicted. Part of me doesn't want him to run because it'll just be kind of a circus like it was for those 4 years.
See, and you say that as a reason why you don't want him to run. I miss all the entertainment. I've been so bored of politics in the United States since Joe Biden won. Um, I I just don't care. I mean, it's so boring. I miss waking up every day and saying, "What is Trump going to say today? How is the media going to lose their minds today?" It was really fun. It was really fun to follow, and now it's really boring. I miss all the drama, but maybe it's good not to have it.
No,
So,
I admit it. It was funny.
it,
Just Trump has to say, "Oh, sky is blue." No, the sky is black. I mean,
yeah, and yeah, that would man. Trump could go out and say just something reasonable, something everyone
yeah.
agree with, and the media would still lose their mind over it. Yeah.
I
Oh
found
man.
myself defending Trump, even though I wasn't a Trump fan per se, but I was defending him because the media was just so corrupt. I just couldn't help defending him because I'm like, he didn't say that.
Yeah, yeah, and just the relationship between Trump and the media too. They were like, maybe a divorced couple or something that,
Yeah.
could not yeah, could not say two nice things to each other and constantly fighting and all that too. It was really fun to watch, maybe too fun to watch actually. So,
He was weird when he said that the media was the enemy of the people, which first I was like, whoa. But
oh
now I'm
man.
just looking back and all the events that have happened in the US and Canada, I'm like, yeah, you're right.
What reporter was that? He wrote the book, What Enemy of the People or something, um,
I'm not
do you know
sure.
who I'm talking about? The reporter, um,
Um,
who maybe Trump's biggest, critic. Oh, what was his name?
uh,
So someone should throw it up in the comments, but I'm so far behind in the comments too at this point. I need to catch up to that. Yeah. So, who do you think will run in? Well, first of all, how long does Justin Trudeau have in Canada? Is he? Could you explain that a little bit? I know there's a vote of no confidence. How does um, Canadian politics work with electing a prime minister or getting rid of one? How does that work by chance?
I've heard that you need a petition to have like 1 million people, and then the governor general could theoretically get him out, but I don't know if I saw that or
Mhm.
if the the governors themselves, if they had a vote of no confidence, so he could. But I'd be surprised if that ever happened, to be honest.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, even just recalling Governor Newsom in California, he's pretty unpopular, but they couldn't pull that off, and I think it'd be
Yeah.
highly unlikely. Um, the more interesting thing to talk about would be if Republicans capture the Senate and the House of Representatives, they could impeach Joe Biden. Would they do that though? I don't know. That'd be interesting. And it'd be just more drama and all that too.
But do you want Kamala? Because I'm assuming she would take over, and like I don't know who's worse.
Yeah. Yeah, good question there. I mean, I think they could impeach him but not remove him and yeah, or just do an endless investigations kind of like how Democrats spent every hour investigating Donald Trump. He did a quid pro quo. He did whatever. Well, Republicans could turn around and do kind of the same thing and almost weaponize their offices as well. And that's a troubling thing though too and that we're seeing in Canada. Um, Politicians are weaponizing their authority
Oh
uh,
yeah,
with truckers right now and everything. Well, um, that's a sign that that nation is falling to socialism, to authoritarianism, um, and the critical race theory stuff. But in America, when we see that weaponization going on too, and we saw it to a small degree with the January 6th stuff, but it'll get bigger. Just book it, and we'll see things get weaponized even more. Any other thoughts or anything? And
No, and just no, I love your show. I like your subjects you bring up, and just pray for Canada and of course and for U.S. and just hope that I know God's in control, but still,
Mhm.
I just still need to be praying and hope that things come up better.
One of the things that surprised me about Canada, they're more rural than the United States. I think the nation's actually bigger than the United States too, their landmass, right?
Oh yeah,
Of course, a lot of it probably isn't habitable, but
no, that's true.
yeah. So they've got more territory. They're, I think, more rural, generally speaking, or more urban,
Yeah,
more big cities, or more people live in small towns, or um,
most of the population lives very close to the U.S., so it's mostly south.
okay, mostly south and everything. Um, but Canada seems more secular than the United States.
Oh, oh
Um,
yeah,
is it really? And is it easy to find a good church down there? Or
yeah, yeah. You can find a good church. It's not too hard because even with our abortion laws, you know how in the U.S. you can go and protest. In Canada, you have to be within 3 kilometers of any abortion facility, which is about like 1 point something miles away. And if you're not, then you can get arrested. So it's
really?
yeah,
So they don't have pro-life legislation and stuff then. The I from what I understand, their restrictions on abortion is basically zero. Is that fair to say? Or
yeah.
yeah. And the Conservative Party, I think someone just asked this earlier, is the Conservative Party in Canada, are they pretty avidly pro-life or not so, or any thoughts there?
They're pro-life, but it's not it's not that big. I think whenever conservatives are running, they want to stay clear of that whole issue because if they run on that issue,
Hmm.
they're going to lose.
Really?
So yeah,
And that's kind of surprising because in the United States, like that is you have politicians campaign on that issue. And lately, though, I've noticed that they've drawn back a little bit from that and focus more on the economy, on jobs, which I don't like. I'm not in favor for. Make being pro-life a central core issue,
yeah.
um, and just have at it. Um, but I'm glad we chatted about that because that does kind of help me understand a little bit more about Canada and what's going on there, at least with the pro-life movement.
Yeah, we need more people to stand up. I know it's difficult given the circumstances, but
Mhm,
yeah, we need more people to stand up because yeah, Canada, we're going south fast.
mhm. And America seems like you've got Europe, Canada, Australia. You have to mention Australia, and then
Oh,
the United States. Well, Australia is probably the furthest down the authoritarian path.
oh, for
Um,
sure.
I don't think it gets worse than Australia. Well, unless you get to China and other nations, but
Right.
um, Europe and Canada. Well, which one's further down? And I guess Europe isn't monolithic, it's a bunch of different countries, but who's further down the authoritarian path? Canada or Europe? That'd be interesting too, I think.
I think Canada right now, especially with all what's going on, because at least in Europe with their mandates, they're starting to get rid
Mhm.
of those.
There are a lot of European nations doing that. I heard of a European nation, I'm trying to think of which one it is, like Hungary or something, where they basically destroyed a person's livelihood unless they get the vaccine.
Oh well,
Um, so there are a few nations in Europe like that, but
that's true.
generally, I guess a lot of them are lifting restrictions. And then, United States seems to be behind the pack. But um, how far behind everyone else are we? That's a good question. I don't know. So
Oh, but the truckers, I think it has worse because many provinces are starting to lift mandates, so it has done some good.
mhm. Yeah, that'll be interesting. Have prices gone up due to the truckers at all, do you think? Or
Um, they were going up before, so I don't know if maybe the
okay.
truckers they may have some bit of an influence, but yeah,
It's
prices have
hard to know because
yeah,
there's
yeah.
inflation going on. Because in the United States and Canada, I'm sure too, the government basically pretends like it has a blank check and it can spend, however it wants. So how much is inflation? How much is supply chain issues? It's hard to say. Yeah.
Yeah, it's unreal when you go into the grocery store and $100 used to get you quite a bit. Now, not
Mhm.
much.
So on a side note, recently I started watching a channel. What's the name of the channel? Joe McConnell or something. I can't remember, but it talks about Canada, and it's fun to learn about Canada and their different ministers, who their best one was, who their worst one was. Here's a question: have we ever had a good president? Um, I think America's best president was Calvin Coolidge. He was the no guy. He basically said no to everything and was the limited government guy. And then after Calvin Coolidge, we got FDR and a lot of our bigger government guys and everything. But
Did you
um,
like Reagan?
I like Reagan a lot. Reagan really did expand the government too, though. I like Reagan. Reagan's good. But if you had to ask me who the best one is, I would put Calvin Coolidge over Reagan, to be honest. But a lot of people don't know much about Calvin Coolidge too, though. So, um, do you think it's even possible retain Christian integrity and be successful in politics? Uh, that's a good question. I mean, could a Christian become a president today in the United States? Well, Mike Pence is a professing evangelical Christian, and he became vice president. But I mean, God's sovereign. So I mean, the easy cop out is God's sovereign, and so yes, it is possible with God. And yet there's so much corruption in the United States right now. It would take an act of God for that to happen, I think. So I guess that's my pessimism kind of bleeding out there. Do you have any other thoughts, Justin? Or
No, I don't think so. Like, thank you for having me.
yeah, it was a good chat, and next time we'll do some other chat, and hopefully jump on again.
All right, take care.
Yep, take care, man. Oh, let's see. Oh, let's see. I might do a short, I think about a 2 minute, 1 minute, 2 minute intermission and just show a video. Um, But again, if you have any questions, just put question and then in all caps so that it stands out clearly. And then write your question. I will put the link below if you want to jump on and chat. We'll chat about Donald Trump or something. Was he a great president, or was he the worse than the devil? Um, Jump on and let's chat about it. I'd love to. I'm kind of lukewarm. I'm one of those guys who's squishy when it comes to Donald Trump. To be honest, I miss the entertainment that he brought. It was a lot funner to follow politics with him out there, but I'm pretty bored of politics now. And do I want to jump on and hear Joe Biden talk? No, I really don't. There's the State of the Union. If the State of the Union was going on, it's going on soon, maybe a week away or 2 weeks, something like that. If Donald Trump was giving it, man, I would watch that in a heartbeat. We're watching the State of the Union. Well, Joe Biden will give it. And do I really care about it that much? I really don't. And so your media outlets are feeling the hit of that people don't care about politics because um, the reality TV show aspect, it's not there that Trump brought. Oh, let's see. We got comments. Does anyone have a question? Seiko jumped on. Okay. Billy Graham said he was saved, referring to who? Question: what do you think about Tulsi Gabbert? So Tulsi would be the Democrat who would who wouldn't be lockstep with the other Democrats who took shots at Hillary Clinton and the establishment, basically. And so I have respect for that. Is she pro-life? No, she's not pro-life. Um, I, if she were elected to an office, I think I'd be in favor of impeaching her. So that's what I think of Tulsi Gabbert. I mean, she's a hero in some sense that she'll stand up to two different things. But is she 100% pro-life? I don't think so. And under my view, anyone who is pro-choice should be impeached and does not belong in office. So that's what I think of Tulsi. In a nutshell, think we are headed for war with Russia and Ukraine and what's going on there. I don't think so. I think people try to appease Russia. It's really interesting what Russia's doing. You have nations close to Russia. What will we call that? Those nations close to Russia, a lot of them speak Russian. And so what Russia will do is amongst those people that speak Russian, they'll gather support where a lot of those folks, hey, let's reunite with Russia. And they kind of start a rebellion. And they want to be united with Russia. And so Russia will support that without actually having to put any troops there or be an aggressor there. There's kind of this internal instability going on that Russia is financing and supporting. Well, how do you fight that? There's nations where admiration for Russia, people are in league with Russia. And what do you do there? There's some problems with that, which I'd have to look more into and all that. It really helps out if you put question at the beginning, if you have a question to ask. There's a lot of comments. Let's take a short intermission. I'll drink some coffee and see if there's any question or comments that stand out. So let's see.
Someone has written the following entitled, I Am a Disciple. The die has been cast, I have stepped over the line. The decision has been made. I am a disciple of Jesus Christ. I will not look up, let up, slow down, back away, or be still. I no longer need preeminence, prosperity, position, promotions, plaudits, or popularity. I don't have to be right, first, tops, recognized, praised, regarded, or rewarded. I now live by faith, love by patience, lift by prayer, and labor by power. My pace is set. My gait is fast. My goal is heaven. My road is narrow. My way is rough. My companions few. My guide reliable. My mission clear. I cannot be bought, compromised, deterred, lured away, turned back, deluded, or delayed. I will not flinch in the face of sacrifice. I will not hesitate in the presence of adversity. I will not negotiate at the table of the enemy. I will not ponder at the pool of popularity, nor meander in the maze of mediocrity. I will not give up, back up, let up, or shut up until I have prayed up, preached up, stored up, and stayed up the cause of Christ. I am a disciple of Jesus Christ. I must go until He returns, give until I drop, preach until all know, and work until He comes. And when He comes to get His own, He will have no trouble recognizing me. My colors are flying high, and they are clear for all to see. Are you a disciple of Jesus Christ? It will cost you everything.
All right, let's see. I do want to respond to this comment because earlier I caught myself because I said something and it was really sloppy and I don't even agree with what I said. And I'm glad that Kristen H pointed it out. No, you don't have a responsibility to God to vote in our elections. And so if someone said you didn't vote in the election, you sinned, I would disagree with that. And people that guilt others for not voting is you have a responsibility before God to vote. If someone chooses not to vote, are they in sin? Would I rebuke that? That's their choice not to vote. And so I agree with Kristen here. What I was pretty sloppy with my words. What I was trying to say and get at more is that we can't just be apathetic towards politics and um, be kind of, what's the word, pietistic, um, where there's pieism or pieism. I don't even know how you pronounce it, but it's all about me and my relationship with God. And so I don't care about politics. I don't care about the public sphere. Christians, we should have influence there. Um, does that mean that everyone needs to get all political and that we need to go be campaign rallies and all that? No, but we should be involved in the political sphere to some degree and not apathetic. If someone's apathetic towards what is happening in this nation when it comes to politics, well, that's a problem. That is a bad thing because politics and righteousness they intersect. And so when people see unrighteous things happening, let's just say the politics that's going on in Canada right now, where they're freezing people's bank accounts. If I saw that and was like, yeah, no big deal, whatever, and not talk about it or do anything about it, and just pretend that wasn't going on, I think that would be not okay. Or with abortion, if I said, no, that's politics, I don't want to get involved or speak into that, and I was apathetic towards it, that would not be okay either. And so, as Christians, politics and righteousness and justice, they intersect. And so we have to speak into those things. We don't all have to do it in the same way. We don't. And I can't make my thing your thing, and you can't make your thing my thing. But in one way or another, as Christians, we can't be apathetic. We have to engage politics and the culture. I believe that as an American citizen, it is your responsibility to vote. It's good to vote. I go and I vote. Yeah. God above all else, but you live here, and that makes you accountable. You can serve God by keeping Christian Judeo policies. I'm one of those guys that, hey, if someone doesn't know what's going on in politics and in the nation, and they don't have a good firm foundation on justice and everything, do I want them voting? No, just stay home. Don't vote. I don't know that I want you to vote. Just because you can vote, doesn't mean you should vote, especially if you're uninformed or you believe in unrighteous things. Then just stay home. If they can do it, they're like, okay, so Democrats have been talking about, hey, we should take 16-year-olds and they should be allowed to vote. In the comments, do you think that's a good thing? Letting 16-year-olds vote. Well, foolishness is bound up in the heart of a child, and with age comes wisdom. Generally, you realized, oh, I made that stupid mistake. I shouldn't have done it, and hopefully, a person learns from it. I know that I've learned from dumb things that I've done in my life for sure, right? If they can do it then if you don't bow down to the Antichrist, they will hit a few buttons, freeze your account and income. Yeah, I mean, we could see it on a worldwide scale, even. It's not far-fetched in the day and age that we live in, for sure. Again, I'm going to post the link if anyone wants to jump on. Other than that, I think our first political chat is kind of coming to an end. I did have a list of things to talk about. I did not talk about the Ring of Power. Amazon bought Lord of the Rings, I believe, right? And they're coming out with is it a series, I think, on the Ring of Power. Well, what is that? It's all about diversity. And so I think Star Wars kind of on steroids with how woke it is and all the diversity that they're bringing in. So now we'll have, I guess, female dwarves, which isn't a thing, but I guess now it's a thing. And, all the social justice stuff we're going to start seeing. We'll start seeing LGBT stuff in the Ring of Power and in the Lord of the Rings. And so you'll have, I follow some Star Wars channels, some geek channels, I guess, and they'll talk about the woke stuff coming to Star Wars and into The Lord of the Rings, The Ring of Power, and I wonder how woke the Ring of Power will get. That'll be interesting to see, actually. That's something I'm looking forward to seeing, actually. All Judeo-Christian policies will be done away with eventually, no matter which party is in office. No matter who is in the White House, our allegiance is to Christ and Christ alone. Oh, we've got spam right there. I should change it. What do you guys think? So that in order to be in the chat, you have to be a subscriber. Originally I saw that and like, no, I don't like that. I like so anyone can chat, but I guess it does get rid of some spam. Say what you want about Trump. I'd take him over Jim Crow Joe any day. And if you had to say, hey, Mark, would you take a Republican or Democrat for president? I'd vote Republican every single time. If that were the only choice. There's also the third party choice. So maybe I vote third party. Who knows? But between a Republican and Democrat, it's not a tough choice. It shouldn't be like, man, this is the toughest decision ever. It's really not a tough decision if you've read the Bible. Let's see. Brian Stelter. That's the CNN guy, right? The one who's still there, the one who hasn't been racked up in scandal, if I remember right on who that is. You can't stop what God has already ordained and put into motion by casting a vote in a corrupt system that is doomed to judgment. I mean, can you stop what God has already ordained? No. No one is powerful enough to do that. And it seems like the world is headed in a certain direction. And we can kind of see secular humanism has infected our public schools and our universities, and we're seeing the fruit of that. And we're going to continue seeing the fruit of that. And that fruit is going to just get more rotten and more rotten over time. Just book it. We can see it with the sexual morality that we see in society. But at the same time, let me push back in that as Christians, our attitude shouldn't be, well, whatever God's ordained, whatever God wants to happen will happen. So, que sera, sera, whatever will be. If God wants it to happen, it will happen. I've got a lot of fighter in me, and no, I'm going to fight, fight like crazy, and not just go down without a fight per se, and have the attitude, well, whatever will be, will be. I don't know how Biden got away with his history of racism and all that. Hey, if you're Justin Trudeau, you can wear blackface, not just once, I think 3 times, right? And get away with it. But if that were someone else, you'd be canceled. So, I don't see any more questions. Of course, I'm still pretty far behind with this, but I think we're kind of coming to a close today. I don't see any more questions. So, a civil war. Could we see a civil war in the United States, or how far down the road are we towards unrest? The greatest adversary or danger, let's call it that, for the United States, what is it today? Is it China? Is it Russia? No, I don't think it's either one. Our greatest problem is ourselves. And so great nations implode from within. And so with what we're seeing with Marxism, we're seeing the United States implode from within. And so, hey, men oppress women, imploding from within. There's division there. White people oppress people of color. That's more Marxism for you, more division there. In the future, Christians oppress the LGBT community, that more division there. The rich oppress the poor, more division there. And so great countries, great nations implode from within. And our major cities in America, they are a mess, just an absolute mess. The medical and the elite are trying to start a civil war. I mean, they're starting to, if you want power, then if you want absolute power, create unrest. And so the history, the future of America, what is it going to be? Well, it's socialism, and part of falling to socialism is having unrest, major unrest in your nation. It's going to be that way in America. We're seeing that to a small degree in Canada, but we'll see in a larger degree in Canada in the future and in the United States in the future. Why? Because it must be this way, because the nation is in rebellion, open rebellion against the word of God, against justice, against so many things. A major part of that was when evolution invaded American public schools, where God is not the creator now. You replace God as the creator, and then that creates so many more problems. Well, lawgiver. Well, God's not the lawgiver, so now we can live however we want to live, and we can do whatever we want to do. And so then you replace God as judge as well. So now we won't be judged by God. We're just dirt anyways. Rearrange dirt. Of course, I guess you're dirt under the Christian worldview too. I need some hot coffee. It's kind of cold right now. Nothing is worse than cold coffee, by the way. I think we'll call this a day. You made a comment regarding Billy Graham and Beck. Yeah. Any questions? Let's see. Billy Graham said Glenn Beck was saved. There's a video up about it. Billy Graham is a Universalist. Billy Graham, that's a pretty big can of worms. He really introduced decisionism into the United States, where, hey, how do you know you saved? Well, you prayed the prayer, you made a decision, and you did it publicly, something like that. Well, now you know you're saved. I'm not a big fan of decisionism, and I think there's a lot better biblical evangelism than what Billy Graham did. Billy Graham would partner with liberal churches, apostate churches, in his crusades. And as Christians, we shouldn't do that, and we shouldn't justify it with whatever justifications are there. People always justify what they're doing when it doesn't align up with the Word of God. I don't trust Billy Graham. He has said some very questionable things. I mean, I've seen those clips, and yet at the same time, he preached a true gospel for years and years and years. And so I want to be fair to people. It's hard for me to really judge Billy Graham without sitting down and kind of studying it, though, too. It's a mixed bag with Billy Graham. Let's just say that there's some good, there's some bad. Let's see. Question. Here we go. What are your thoughts on the World Economic Forum? I saw a video on them saying they want to hack the human mind. That gets interesting. With the World Economic Forum, the latest video that I saw from them was over. Oh, we have a couple of questions now. Them saying that, hey, there will be in the future basically a cyber pandemic. The World Economic Forum has talked about this. So think COVID, think of COVID, but now it's a cyber pandemic. And so now what do you need? You need and we'll wake up one day, supposedly, and there'll be 10 million devices that are infected with the cyber pandemic. It's pretty interesting to think about and to talk about. And so it's COVID-19, except for applied to a cyber pandemic. And so now your phone needs a vaccine, so to speak, a virus patch or whatever. It needs a remedy for it. And so they'll probably create, a virus patch for your phone or whatever device it is. And it could affect our infrastructure, our power grid, that kind of thing. That's the rumor going along with World Economic Forum. They've got videos on it that are just out there. They're not trying to hide it. I find that pretty interesting. I would not be surprised if we woke up someday and there was a cyber pandemic. I really would not be surprised. I kind of expect it, to be honest. Um, Question: what do you think about the one world religion starting this year? Rick Warren, churches, and Kenneth Copeland. What do you see happening with the Protestant church? I really haven't followed um, what would there be? The World Council of Churches, the ecumenical movement, trying to bring everyone together. Of course, if you follow this channel, you know what I think of Christians partnering with false teachers and cult leaders like Marcus Rogers. Not a fan of it. So, Rick Warren, I'm not a fan of Rick Warren. I've heard Rick Warren preach once. It was very entertaining. It wasn't very biblical. I don't even remember the sermon, to be honest. And it's not a bad thing that I don't remember it either. Hello everyone. Okay, what was Marcus Rogers shown? Does he have a new vision today? That's a good question. Because he's got a new one, seems like every single day. I have a video I might do on Marcus Rogers. I might not. I don't know. He got a check, I guess, for $100,000. Lots of money. And it'd be fun to do a video on that. Of course, be like making a deal with the devil in all reality, but and because Marcus Rogers will say, hey, this shows the favor of God. The favor of God's on the ministry. How do we know? Because we got a check for $100,000. Well, no. My response is you sold your soul to the devil for $100,000. That's more of what happened. With that, I think we're out of questions. Let me look down my list. CNN ratings crashed because why? Because of Donald Trump. They probably really miss him in office because their ratings were really good back when Trump was in office. My voting record, I was thinking about talking about that a little bit. Did I vote for Trump in 2016? You could guess in the comments. I did not vote for Trump in 2016. I did not trust him in 2016. I thought that he would take the Republican Party, the Conservative Party, and liberalize them, turn them super liberal. I was pleasantly surprised with his presidency on some things, and then there's some things I hated about it. So it was a mixed bag for sure. The justices that he chose, did he choose good justices? I'm an abolitionist. Did he choose abolitionist judges? I don't think so. And so was he a great president? Was he a phenomenal president that did phenomenal things? Well, no. Was he as bad as a Democrat? No, much better than Hillary Clinton, I think, too. So, I think last question. Why do you like MacBooks so much? Well, I don't have a MacBook. I'm debating between getting a MacBook. I guess it'd be a Pro, but I don't know how much those cost though. If they cost too much, I won't get it. MacBook Pro, a Mac, and a Mac Mini. Well, I'm debating between all of them. I have a Mac, and it's actually a really old Mac, but I love it so much more than a PC. I hate PCs and Windows so much. Oh my goodness. Don't get me started about about Windows. I had a computer. It was one that my dad bought, and it cost about $2,000 or so. Well, Windows did their automatic update. They didn't even ask you. They just said, hey, we're going to update computers. It updated that computer and crashed it, did something to it. This is an easy fix, actually. But after that happened, where they automatically updated my PC or whatever, I just said goodbye to Windows. Never looked back. I'm done with Windows and Mac, or not Mac, but with Windows and PCs and all that. So, if you do video editing, you want a Mac. If you're a content creator, do yourself a favor and get a Mac. And I've heard that if you have a MacBook Pro, that essentially is as good as having an iMac. And so then you can take it everywhere. So maybe I'll get a MacBook Pro. If you know computer stuff, let me know which is the best for a content creator to get. Would it be a Mac Mini, an iMac, or a MacBook Pro? I'm leaning towards an iMac. It just depends on and everything and prices and all that. But I don't mind if it just stays in the same place for all the time. Marcus gets the check for $100,000, but he complained in his community post that his critics are quiet and don't say anything about the positive things that he does. Post is filled with several eyes. Well, you know, hey, Marcus Rogers, I can help out your PR problem. Go write instead of getting all this money, go write a check for $100,000 to someone. That'll help your PR problem, Marcus Rogers. My Windows always crashed. And Windows is so slow, and they age very quickly, in my opinion. It seems like you buy a Windows, and 2 years later, it's 60 years old or 100 years old. It just seems so out of date. Whereas you get a Mac, and it just seems like it works great for a long time. And you're not always waiting on your Mac to load or whatever. It just seems to be their software, whatever it is, just seems to be a lot more quick. For video editing, you want a Mac, but the new ones are so expensive. I wonder, so Mac is actually having an event. Apple's having an event, and I think they're releasing 2 or 3 new Macs at the event. March 8th, I think, is that event. And so we'll see how good that event is, actually, if it's a mind-blowing event or if people are like, you should have done better. I'm actually looking forward to that. Get a MacBook Pro or an iMac. Okay. With that, we will call it a live stream, and I will see you guys in the next live stream. Maybe ask me anything. I don't know. I don't really have anything really planned, but with that, I will see you in the next video.